Welcome to this first TJHT Talk session of the 2026 season. We're delighted that you've chosen to spend the evening or morning with us for the first part of our series within TJHT Talks, Jewish Poland Here and Now. This is in response to your requests, and we will continue to introduce you to community members, leaders and activists, artists and journalists, and volunteers who shape Jewish life in Poland as the year continues. I'm delighted to share this platform with my esteemed colleagues and dear friends, Maria Kos, Joanna Fikus, and Karina Sokołowska. Thank you for being here with us. Our conversation will run approximately 45 to 60 minutes, and we invite you to post a question in the chat section. When I arrived in Warsaw in February 1994, tasked by Ambassador Ronald Lauder to establish a Jewish day school, public Jewish life in Warsaw, like Poland's democracy, was just re-emerging after the Holocaust and decades of communism. It had been a time of discontinuity and disconnection, not only personal and familial, but also with the Jewish world. So much has changed since then. A marvel at the growth of our community and a privilege to be part of it. So without much further ado, let's start with the conversation. Welcome. So a question to all of you. What brought you to your Jewish life now, to your profession or your role as a lay leader in the Jewish community? Karina, since we've known each other the longest, please start.
It's going to be me who starts.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. I can't see you, so I have no idea who's behind this screen. My name is Karina Sokołowska, and I'm the member of the Polish Jewish community. And I've been working for the JDC, for the Joint Distribution Committee, for many years until December last year, which made me very involved in the Jewish community affairs all across the country for many, many, many years. Speaking of my journey, though, as Halise pointed out, yes, our journey, she mentioned before when you were not with us, that she knows me the longest out of the three of us speaking to you tonight. And indeed, it goes back to the early 90s. And for me, it has been 1992 approximately. This is when I started my university in Warsaw. And this is what brought me to the city of Warsaw from Lower Silesia, the area where I grew up, south of Poland, which historically speaking is the area where many Jewish people arrived after the Second World War. And this was the story of my grandparents, actually. So for me, the journey in so-called organized Jewish life has sort of two beginnings. One of them being my grandfather's story and his involvement in the TJHT, which is one of those Jewish organizations which was started in Poland in the 1950s, which is, you could translate the name into English by Social and Cultural Association of Jews in Poland, and this is where my grandfather was a member, and he was taking me and my sisters to the meetings of this club. And the place where we used to go to is called Żary, again, a small town in southwest Poland. And we considered it to be the most boring kind of activity. And this was my own association with, what it means to be Jewish. Like this whole Jewish thing was like a bunch of older guys meeting and playing bridge actually together, and for us there was nothing to do. So this is how I sort of grew up, and then in the beginning of the 90s I moved to Warsaw for my university, and this was the time when I actually looked for the Jewish connection myself. A number of things that influenced it. I'm not going to go into details, but it ended up in me joining the Jewish youth club that was kind of active against all odds at the beginning of the 90s in the cellar of one of the buildings, like kind of mysterious club. And from that, it led me very directly to being active in the Polish Union of Jewish Students as one of the first, not one of the first, the first Jewish students movement that was recreated in Poland after 1968. And from that, actually, I went directly to start my professional career in the Jewish community by working in the Joint Distribution Committee for many, many, many years to come in different roles. And I guess that's about it, like 30 plus years later, here I am, and I'm still Jewish. I'm not professionally Jewish anymore. I'm not working for any Jewish organization anymore, which just leaves me a private Jewish person, which which is a new thing to me, because for many years I have connected both. I mean, I have really been working in the Jewish community, and my whole life was very, very Jewish, my professional life, my private life. And the new aspect of it now is that actually I'm not doing the Jewish work. The Jewish professional is not part of my life anymore. So it's a relatively new chapter of my life. I think that's about it about me.
Raised. But let's move on to Marisha, if you don't mind, and tell us what brought you to where you are.
Hi everyone. It's I wanted to say it's very nice to see you, but I only see my dear friends and role models, I can say. And it's a privilege. I want to say it's a privilege and a great honor to be a part of this discussion with such amazing women. Okay, so now about me. So for me, Jewishness was always a big part of who I was and a big part of my life. But I didn't grow up with the community. So there was a turning point in my life when I was 18, and I got invited to a Madrihim seminar. It was a seminar for Jewish educators, young adults, who were then supposed to lead the summer camp. The camp is called Camp Atid, and it was back then run by the JDC, by the Joint. So I, without any hesitation, said yes. I really wanted to join this group. I really wanted to know more about what's there and how does Jewish life look like in an organized way. Because before that, Jewishness was mostly, I associated with Holocaust and stories and history, and not something that is a living organism, definitely not with young people, definitely not with young energy. So I found myself there those 18 years ago, sitting in a room full of young Jews. And the feeling of, instantly, the feeling that this is home, and this is where I belong, and this is so mine. I couldn't help it. It was so strong. I remember then a couple months later, we went to the camp, and this was when I celebrated my first Shabbat, and I knew nothing. I knew no brachot, no songs, no melodies. And I was learning this from my friends, my colleagues, but also from the kids I was taking care of, right? And now, fast forward to this day, I cannot count how many Shabbat dinners I hosted myself, both in professional and personal journeys. How many people I was privileged to teach about Shabbat, and to teach the blessings, and to teach the meaning behind this all. So I think back then I made a very strong decision that I want to continue my life actively Jewish, and that I don't know if I knew back then that I will become a professional, but I was a madricha for many years. Then I graduated from the university, and I started. My first job was at the JCC Warsaw as a children and family program coordinator and then director. I became a summer camp director. I was in charge of all the youth programs and family programs. Then I had a short break from JCC. First, I wanted to see how does life look like outside. How does professional life look like outside of the Jewish bubble? And it didn't work for me. I liked it. It was a nice adventure, but very quickly I restarted my professional Jewish journey at Moishe House. I served as a global community manager at Moishe House for 3 years. And then I was asked, I was appointed to step into the role of the JCC director. It was actually almost a year ago. I started February 3rd last year. So it's my first anniversary in this role. And what can I say? I feel like this was destiny. And this was definitely the calling of mine. And I feel privileged and so happy that I'm able to serve my community today.
Thank you, Marisha, for your very lovely and heartfelt words and your journey. Joasha, your turn.
Being third is a kind of a privilege as well, because I can compare it with what you've just said. First of all, I see also our chat, and I'm so thrilled that you are really from all over the world, from Paris, from Podkova, from New York, Ramat Gan. So my story is, it starts with a very private story. I'm born and raised in Warsaw, but both my grandparents from my mom and father's side, they were living in Łódź. And these homes were completely different. From my father's side, it was rich, full of different people. I was beloved granddaughter, and my grandmother, every evening she used to kneel and we were praying and so on. From my mother's side, it was a completely different house. More modest, smaller. I didn't know why, but there were always the same people. My grandpa's sisters, their husbands, few other, and then only my mom and me. And I was collecting postcards and stamps. And to my surprise, at this home, they were from all over the world, from Venezuela, from France, from Israel. I didn't know why. And then fast forward to me being 12, and I'm sitting with my mom. We are alone at home. We are sitting in the kitchen. My mom locks the door and she says, I have to tell you the secret. And then I thought to myself, oh no, she's going to tell me about sex or something. And then she says, I have to tell you something. Do you love me? And I said, yeah, of course. So I have to tell you that we are Jews. And I really, honestly, I didn't understand. So, and then nothing. And nobody talks to me apart from my mom about it. Nobody, because my grandparents already then passed away, so I didn't have a chance to ask anyone. I started to read books. I remember my first book very well. It was a book called Umschlagplatz, and it was so shocking for me. I started to discover this kind of huge gap and vacuum in my town, in me, everywhere around. And then I think from this feeling of vacuum and feeling of loss, I started to study cultural anthropology, and I was doing my research on Jewish memory. And then fast forward, being cultural anthropologist, I started working at the Museum of the History of Polish Jews, POLIN, when I'm doing the exhibition. So going back to what you, Karina and Marisha, said about being kind of professional Jews, I'm a professional storyteller about Jews. So that would be this for now.
You are muted, Khalis, or at least I cannot hear.
So thank you, my three friends, colleagues, for sharing the personal and a bit about the professional and how they intertwine, and the roles that you have taken on, and the sort of experience that you have had yourselves and for your families, but also what you brought to so many others, either through the Jewish Community Center of Warsaw, through the JDC activities, and certainly through the POLIN Museum of the History of Polish Jews. So perhaps we'll move on to, I think, a few more precise questions to give us all about another piece of the story, a sort of a hologram with different kind of perspectives. Joasha, how you mentioned this when you spoke about you came into the story, really, I mean, with your mother, but also you came in at the Umschlagplatz. I mean, of all the places to come into a 2,000-year, 5,000-year history or 1,000 years of Polish Jewish life, you come in at this very tragic moment. How do you feel that the history of Polish Jewry has not only shaped your identity, but how does it shape what you do? And how does it impact how you storytell Polish Jewish life to others, especially who come to the museum?
I'm always trying to think about the history of Polish Jews as a history of opportunities and limitations. And this dynamic between opportunities and limitation is really important. So you told about the Holocaust, Khalis. So I think the period which is really important to us today, in fact, it starts directly after the Holocaust with this aftermath. This is the memory of our family that we can recall. So if I would intertwine this, I would say, general Jewish story of Polish Jews after the war and include my family story, I would say that once the war was over, it was this profound feeling of asking oneself a question: where are all of you? Where is everybody? If I am the only one who survived from my hometown, from my family, where is everybody? It's kind of end of some tragic moment, but not yet the beginning. So this was the moment of real kind of, limbo, being in a limbo. And we should be aware that people did not understood the full scale of loss. So the next dilemma was, should we stay here or should we leave? Those who wanted to stay for many reasons, for feeling connection to Polishness, or wanting to create new political system, or wanting to whatever, they very soon discovered that even though the war is over, this period is on one hand full of hope, but also full of violence and anti-Semitism. My mom told me the story. She was born in 1941. They found themselves after the war in Łódź, in Lodz. And my mom, being 6 years old, she came back home from the courtyard playing with children, and she told her parents, I hate Germans and Jews. And that was the moment when her parents told her, how about you are a Jew? The other story from my family, which is really typical to Jews who stayed here, it's this idea, some of them thought maybe we should hide our identity. We are calling them assimilated Jews, but assimilated, it implicates that you are doing something that you really want to. And somehow they did it from the fear. 2 weeks ago, I discovered a file in my mom's apartment where there were documents about changing names of my family. My uncle used to, his original name was Samuel Gold. Suddenly his name is Stanisław Dębiak. What can you say more? How can you find something more Polish? And then of course, a story of those who lived especially in the western part of Poland, like Karina, story of your family. It's a little bit different. But my family, who was here in Łódź, they decided that we will be kind of under the surface. And that was very, very a common experience to many people. So let's say after the fall of Stalinism, with the thaw in 1956, people who wanted to leave, it was easier for them to leave. But also with this a little bit rising democratization, suddenly these demons of anti-Semitism started again. So some people wanted to leave and could, some couldn't. Again, my family story is that my grandfather desperately wanted to leave, but my mom, then she fell in love with my father, and my grandpa says, if you want to stay, the whole family stays. We will never, ever be separated again. So grandpa in depression, but we stayed. And then it's a very important moment for I think, for the whole formation of generations of Jews in Poland, which is very anti-Semitic campaign in March 1968, which started with the Six-Day War. And since it was a Cold War, Poland was in the Soviet bloc, as well as, let's say, Arab countries. I'm simplifying it, but for the purposes of this conversation. And then Israel was on the side of West countries. And from this political story that us as Poles should be against Israel, suddenly it was a huge, huge anti-Semitic campaign. 13,000 people deprived of their citizenship, forced to leave. This is a very, very painful moment, because most of these people, they wanted to live here. They were Jews, but they wanted to live here. So after 1968, it was this profound feeling of sadness that there is almost no Jewish life here. And then slowly, what Karina was talking about, after fall of communism, after 1989, with this democratization, there was this rising interest among Poles in Jewish history, Jewish literature, Jewish theaters, and also this rebirth of Jewish life, also very much thanks to Jewish organizations like Joint Jewish Philanthropists, like Ted Taube, Ronald Lauder, and so on. But if I were to recall also why Poles were so interested, when I was at high school, and I was in a really, really good high school in the center of Warsaw, nobody taught me about Jews. I was told that, for example, in Auschwitz, 6 million Poles died. And I had no idea that it's something different. So I would say that this last 35 years, it was really a golden age, golden opportunity if you think about 80 years period after the war. That's basically for the start.
Joasha, thank you for pulling the threads and taking us forward. You raised a lot of important issues, and I think all three of you are shedding light on who we are. After 32 years, I feel very comfortable saying we, but I also, my Polish Jewish life only started 30 years ago. And so I'm delighted that we're raising these issues and certainly articulating them. So, Marysia, as Polish Jewry has reclaimed its place at the Jewish table, after the Holocaust, but really after the decades of communism and all of the trauma of communism, and really being cut off, or I would say in the most part excluded from the Jewish puzzle of Jewish peoplehood for such a long time. What are those misconceptions that you still encounter when you meet people from abroad, for people who are coming to visit for the first time, people looking for their ancestral roots? What would you like the world to know in 2026?
Wow, such a big question. So first of all, there are still people who are very, very surprised that there is Jewish life in Poland. I mean, visitors from different corners of the world coming to the JCC, or people I was able to meet elsewhere through my different roles. But what I really want for people to know at this point, that there is a vibrant Jewish life happening in Poland, and that I 100% believe that there is Jewish future in Poland. And why do I believe so is because when we look at our community today, we see that it's extremely diverse. And when you compare it to numbers that are relatively very small, but yet growing, this diversity can become a huge challenge, right? You have, at the moment, according to the last census, there are 17,000 Jews living in Poland, with around 7,000 living in Warsaw and this area. And then everyone's path is sort of different, right? So like when you look at the community today in Warsaw, especially, you see we have multiple working synagogues, Orthodox synagogues, Chabad, Reform synagogue. We have many, many organizations. So the goal right now, how I see it, is to make sure that there is room for everyone. And this reality of our community today is very dynamic. It's changing all the time. It's very much connected with everything that Joasia just said about this like turbulent history of Polish Jews, and members of our community today are on different, levels, stages. Some people already, we have a generation that grew up fully Jewishly. Some people grew up with two Jewish parents in Jewish households, knowing holidays, rituals, I don't know, going to a Jewish school and so on. But there are still people coming, for example, to the JCC, walking through our doors saying, I just found out that I'm Jewish. I found out yesterday. I found out a week ago. It's still happening. It's not, it's not an exaggeration. I know like two people that I work very closely with very recently found their Jewish ancestry. So it's very dynamically changing, and I think our biggest role right now is to make sure that that we meet people where they are. And we are building this big tent, this white tent, for all kinds of Jewish stories, Jewish narratives, Jewish identities. How I see my role, or the role of the JCC, is not to impose any sort of Jewishness on anyone, but to show people the variety. You can be Jewish in 1 million ways. It's your choice. We're not here to judge. We are here to hold your hand and to be on this journey with you, in discovering what Jewish means to you and how you want to meaningfully connect with your Judaism, with your Jewish heritage, with your Jewish identity. The other big challenge, the other big goal, big focus of ours right now is also continuity. Taking care of the future. And how do we take care of the future? It's mostly education, youth programming, summer camps, the school. The fact that we see now a generation of young Polish Jews who feel so natural in their Jewishness, who feel so, it's like the most obvious thing for them. It's a miracle. It's a miracle, and it's something I am also very proud of, to see those people. People who are right now at the JCC leading Sunday school or a BBYO club for teenagers are our former Hanichim. So our former campers are people who grew up with Jewish community, with camps, with summer camps, and so on. So. So this is a big this is a big achievement of ours, but the work is not done yet. And it's the situation is very dynamic. The fact that 3 years ago, I know, sorry if I said the wrong number, but like the fact that 5-6 years ago we didn't have a Jewish high school, and today we do have a Jewish high school, is only a proof that there are people here in Poland very engaged and very invested in making sure that there is future for next generations of Polish Jews. And I feel myself very lucky and proud to be a part of this story.
Marisha, thank you. So, Karina, I'm going to send you a little bit of a challenging question. Not the others were not challenging in their own way, but with the long view. Since I would say when you first, I understand you're going to Teshkazed, you learned to play bridge, I assume, but maybe not. So when they build the Jewish old age home, we'll have something to do. But we've all been thinking, and certainly Jews around the world, but including all of us. So on the one hand, we have come to a Jewish community throughout Poland, though we've been focusing on Warsaw, that has a new level of stability, stability, new organizations, infrastructure that over the last 32 years has been built. And that includes Jewish institutions and Jewish storytelling institutions, like among them POLIN Museum. So my question is, in the aftermath of October 7th and the rise in worldwide anti-Semitism and right-wing nationalism, what do you see as the biggest challenges to Polish Jewish life in the next year or coming year?
It's indeed a very challenging question. I don't think I'm going to be very original to say, because I think one of the things that we as the community have been struggling with for many years already, although now in the very turbulent times, and all of us, wherever we are, in Podkowa Leśna, New York, Ramat Gan, or Toruń, or whatever else I see here on the screen, we're all in the same sort of a turbulent times, and it applies to all of us the same way. The same kind of a struggle. And I think what the communities need, what the Jewish organizations in our country need, is the strong, reliable leadership. And it's, and as I said, I mean, we've been struggling with the issue of leadership for many years. It's not a new dilemma. It's not a new thing. Although I think what is important for the difficult times, for the turbulent times, is exactly the strong leadership. I mean, it's even more so, right? It's like this is what people are looking up to, and what people in the community, what community members need. Leadership as role models, leadership as individuals who are able to build alliances. I mean, it's like a new world that we live in. It's not the same. Nothing is the same. I mean, comparing to pre-October 7th, right? I mean, like, we really live in a different Jewish reality, and it's quite challenging to navigate this new Jewish reality. I mean, I understand the challenge that lies behind or in front of the leadership, right? But it's even more so the very, very important aspect of the community life. So that's one thing. Another thing that I would, again, nothing new under the sun, not that I'm discovering, something special, but together with the leadership, what we do need is good professionals in the Jewish community and Jewish organizations, and also looking up to them as professionals precisely, and not as random people who happen to work in Jewish organizations. No, they are professionals, and their profession is to actually deliver the Jewish community life to the Jewish community members. And this is something that we've been missing for a long time, and we've been struggling for. And I think, again, because the time is very challenging, and because it's so difficult to navigate the realities, and so difficult and challenging to navigate the social media, and to really understand what is true, what is not true, where we are, how we should think, what should shape us as Jews these days. It's really important who are the people who are helping us to navigate it, right? So again, I would see this as a big challenge and a big struggle for the local Jewry to really have these two functions in the Jewish community life. Jewish leadership and Jewish professionals, like being the right people on right positions, really helping whoever is out there, those 17,000 of people who, according to the census, are Jewish in Poland, or whatever is the number, nobody really knows the number. So whatever is the number of the Jewish people who are currently in Poland, to help them really be Jewish in those difficult days that we live in now. And then what else I would put on this table? What else I would put on this table? Oh, I think Marysia mentioned it. I'm sure Marysia mentioned it. The diversity of the community, meaning yes, the local Jews with all those complexity of different stories which they bring, and with all those Jewish biographies that are part of our world, and of where we grew up, where we were born, to what stories we were born, right? Being the grandchildren of Holocaust survivors, because there is no other way, actually, grandchildren or great grandchildren, right? I mean, like, if you're Jewish in this part of the world, this is most probably your connection. Like, there is no other way that you are born to something else. But also, so and like everybody is like a book in a story, with a story, a big story, and like literally you can write. Again, 17,000 Jews in Poland, 17,000 volumes of different Jewish stories, and each of those stories will be fascinating in its own way. But to that, we have to add, again, the changing world around us, meaning, yes, we do have a community of Ukrainian Jewish refugees who are currently in Poland, and most probably not really going anywhere in foreseeable future. We do have a community of Belarusian Jews who are currently in Poland. We do have a community of Russian Jews who are currently in Poland, and we do have a growing community of Israelis who choose Poland to be their place to be these days. And this diversity of the Jewish community is even greater, right? Because we have different groups coming to build this community together. So again, this is up to the leadership of this community to really look at it from somewhere from the above, and to see it as one whole big Jewish life in Poland these days, and what it is, what it should be, how we should try to navigate it in order to make it stronger, to make it a Jewish home for everyone, regardless of where he, she, it, them come from. It's actually up to the people who we choose to be our leaders. And I think it's crucial that we think about it for the next years, because I'm afraid that times will not be any easier for us, and we really need to. And it's not like, I'm a born optimist, so it's not exactly like, I'm like here, but I'm afraid it's not going to be any easier from everything that is happening around the world currently. So we really need to focus on that, these would be my issues to put on the table in terms of the challenges for the community. And yes, there are all those other like very obvious issues, like, the numbers. Yes, it's actually important for the small community how many we are, right? Because it's a matter of survival. So it's a critical mass. So those issues are important. There's important issues like money is important, right? We need money in order to continue. There are important issues like, yes, the message that we send out to the Jewish world around the world is important. Yes, yes, we are Jewish and we're in Poland and we're not going anywhere. It's also important. There are all those important factors. But I think for us internally, as I said, leadership, professionals, integration of local Jewish groups, very, very important for our instant future. Yes,
Karina, thank you. You've added a lot to the table in the conversation, and I want to ask Marisha and maybe Joasha to also add to what they see as the challenges, perhaps are the same. There was a question about the number 17,000 that was mentioned. I think Marisha mentioned it, which is, as she mentioned, is what the most recent census indicated as Poles who said they're Jewish. And of course, nobody knows what that means. And as you've heard from Joasha and Karina and Marisha, we're not defining. I would like just to point out in the previous census, 7,000 people made note. And I think what that really shows is that more and more, there are more, we have children, but it's also that people are really feeling more secure in their own Jewish identity and being identified as Jews. We could also say, and this was mentioned too, we could estimate that half as many have decided they don't want to talk about it, and it's nobody's business. And maybe that number is of people who don't yet know or will never know. So I think that while the numbers are important, obviously, we look at this as a process, a milestone in the process of the sustainability of our community. Joasha, what would you like to add?
And also, if I were to add two things about this number, which is always for me the most difficult question when I, for example, finish guiding through the exhibition, and always people are asking me, so how many Jews are in Poland? And it's this idea of, as Zygmunt Bauman pointed it, this liquid identity, because first of all, it's us. It depends on us, on each individual person, how she or he or it identifies. It's yourself. Today in Poland, it's not a matter of being even halakhic Jew.
Right.
I think what is really important is also in this talking about liquid identity, it's also a moment in your life. It's what Marisha was saying, that sometimes people are discovering their Jewishness when they are adult person. And the meaning of this discovery might mean something completely different when you are 20, when you are 40, when you are 60. So that's what I would say. And the second comment, which I would like to add to what Karina said, is that I think for us, and as human beings, as Jews, especially after October 7th, it's so important to listen to each other, to try to understand that even though we are different, there is something very common which is for all of us. I remember JCC after October 7th organized a kind of therapy groups for us where we could suddenly feel safe. That was the place where we could feel safe because many of our former friends, unions were suddenly destroyed. And we understood that this is the group, for me personally, it's the only group where I can feel safe in the context of October 7th, where I do not have to explicitly say something about politics of Israel, but I am kind of surrounded by warmth of my people, I'm high, you know. So I think this is very, it was a very moving discovery for me, very.
Thank you, Joasha. Marysia.
I have many comments, but I will try to choose some. So first of all, about what Karina said about leadership and professionals, I always say that let's say our community is 37 years old. Let's say that the rebirth happened in the 89th. So we're a community of 37 years old. I think we're very young. I think we're not in the stage of being fully an adult. And this is a metaphor I normally use, that we're a teenager. We're in the stage of teenager. We already know some things. We know what we want. We know what our dreams are. We know who we are. But sometimes we don't know how to get there. Maybe we don't have all the tools at the moment, but it's not a weakness. I think it's very natural, because to me it seems like the process of becoming a strong adult grown-up community is a long process. It's a marathon, and time is definitely needed. So I fully agree with Karina, but wanted to add this this part. And also when it comes to reality after October 7th and the rise of anti-Semitism, and I don't want to go too much into details because I would rather stay on a positive note during this conversation. But I want to say that how I see, for example, JCC's role at the moment is like how do, sometimes people ask me, how do JCC fight anti-Semitism? And I normally say we fight anti-Semitism, but by giving people true joy and pride from the fact that they are Jewish. And with this comes, I strongly believe in it, and I'm not saying this is the only way. I think it's just an important part of it, that the strength comes with this joy and with this pride. So those experiences that we, among others, are providing to people, those joyful communal moments, are really crucial in then being able to live life as a Jew in Poland, even though there are challenges. And I just want to say, there is a song about us not going anywhere. There is a song. We have a set of songs from our camp, from our summer camp, that were written by amazing colleague of ours, Hania Goldstein. And those are Jewish songs in Polish for the Polish Jewish kids. And one of the song is about promised land. So the song is very moving. It's my favorite, and it's like basically the song describes the whole story of Jews leaving Egypt, and how the Pharaoh and so on, Moses, and all the steps towards freedom and promised land. And the last part of the song is that there is a question like, where is our promised land? And the last part of the song sort of like answers this big question, and it says, our promised land is here. And to be able to see 100 Jewish kids singing our promised land is here is also like, this is what we want to give to people, this very strong sense of belonging and pride that is crucial, I think, to then build upon it, right? And to face those challenges. These were my comments.
Thank you, Marysia. I'm trying to process everything that you have each said. And I thought maybe, though this was not scripted, I've been asking you questions. And before we close the program, I thought perhaps you have one for me. I'm sitting here. I'm a captive audience. But if you have one for me, I'd be happy to try to field it. Okay. I'm sure that you do. I'm sure you have many. So I will just...
I think Joasia wanted to ask a question.
Oh, I'm sorry, you asked.
Yeah, but you muted my mic, so...
So Yasha, go ahead, sweetie.
Yes, because for me it was always very interesting, Helis. You have a completely different perspective since you came to Poland in 1990s. And how do you see us as the community, how we have changed?
Mm. Well, I came with, I feel now blessed that I came with little knowledge. I didn't come with the Holocaust perspective, or not, I didn't understand, I didn't have a grasp, and I'm still getting it, of Polish Jewish history. And so in some way, I was a tabula rasa, right? I didn't have any expectations. But you're right, I came from the States as an educator. My job was to open the Lauder Marsha School. And I believe, people have said, so Helis, how much has changed? You just asked. And I think you've all articulated in terms of how we've grown and infrastructure. And now we have generational, our organizations are being run by the next generation that's already grown up. One of you mentioned, with a Jewish school or with a Jewish camp. And even if people don't partake, there's now a kind of an environment, an atmosphere in which Jewish life exists. And that, I think, is really crucial. And I would say that perhaps me, along with the community, I really changed. My understanding of what it means to be a Jew, what it means to be counted or feel counted, what it means to feel when I participate in conversations that are both, celebratory, but also very challenging. I think I've learned that I'm learning from all of you and our other colleagues that you have to look at all perspectives. Judaism is based on learning or listening or reading all the perspectives and allowing different voices. And that's, I think, been my guide, continues to be my guiding tool, that there's much to learn. And you're right. I don't think 32 years ago, I would have imagined Hillel Warsaw or a JCC or one community that may not really want to talk to the other. And yet here we are. So I'm honored to be part of it. Thank you, Joasha.
I have a question. To you, Helis.
Sure.
What would be your wish for our community? I mean, yours as well, right? Like this is our.
Okay. Well, I think we'll go back to what you've all been saying. It's a sense of grounded leadership, a sense of shared, an open common space, a sense of combining purpose and sharing best practices to support one another and to support the members of our community, and to find ways to ensure our own sustainability. Small things, but doable. So, my dear friends, thank you so much for joining us. I know that I can see from the comments, there's a few questions, but mostly comments from around the world. And it reinforces that we are part of the Jewish people and we're part of the Jewish table. So thank you all for your personal and professional commitment. Thank you to our incredible audience. And thank you to Jakob Wyszak behind the scenes, who makes this all possible. For those of you who are just joining us for the first time, welcome. And for those of you who are returning, welcome, welcome. If you'd like to support this program, which is solely supported by our audience, please, a donation will be coming through the mail that we would be happy if you would pitch in. In the meantime, we look forward to seeing you in February and looking forward to part 2 of Jewish Poland here and now. Thank you. Be well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you all.